thin edge here. Usually you want to try and follow a ridge too. I don't have a really good, well-defined ridge here, but I do have something that I can use. If I come in a little bit more and really put a lot of emphasis on this hit, I might be able to drive a good chunk of this mass off here. Let's give that a try. It stopped short. It wanted to go, but it stopped short. One more try here. That one went. Got rid of some of that mass. Not as far as I wanted it to go. Seems like they never are. Or when you don't want them to go all that way, they overshoot. So it terminated nicely with a feather edge, which leaves me a flat surface, which is not a problem like this step fracture. Still have to deal with. Let's going to probably end up knocking this chunk off here. So let's see if we can get some pieces off of there. That one I hit really hard. But I think you'll see I ended up reducing a major flake off of here. Smash right there. You can see how far in I came. Maybe a third of an inch to not quite a half an inch. A pretty big chunk I wanted off there because I had this big bulb to deal with. And the fracture went all the way, followed this ridge pretty much. Followed this ridge certainly. And took this whole bulb off here. And it terminated, or the flake ended, with a very, very sharp feather edge. That's what I'm after. Because that leaves no problems for me to deal with later. You can see those stress fractures in there as the flake came off. So that was a good flake off. And that potentially has a very nice spearhead in itself. So this isn't just going to be one spearhead like I said before. I want to get maybe 6, 7 spearheads, not to mention the core that'll be in the very center of this thing once I get the edges evened out. So that has a lot of opportunities. So we'll save that. So what we want to do now is, there's another mass here I think that we can get off. We can follow this ridge that we just created. And good knappers have the ability to create their own ridges, follow them, and reduce their pieces that way. Now, according to the center line here, center line theory, we're pretty close to the center line, but this edge that I just knocked off is now below the center line. So that means I'm going to want to strike below the center line in that direction. The problem with that area is I've got this dip here, and that's a problem. So we'll come back to that. So let's see if we can get some more decent flakes up here and reduce some of this mass. So I'm going to try and hit in this area, coming back this way. Try and follow this ridge and see if I can't get something to continue on down here. Get rid of some of this mass in this area. So just allow the contact point to hit the pad and support it at the proper angle. Of course, the angle has everything to do with how well the flake is going to go. It's just a matter of knowing what the rock's going to do. That sounded pretty good. So remember, we wanted it to follow that ridge, and you can see that that's exactly what happened. This was the ridge we created from the last spall coming off of there. Right here, this ridge. And so we wanted it to follow, and you can see how the flake curves and does exactly that. It follows that ridge. Here's another nice projectile point right there. Save that. It terminated pretty well. It's a little bit of a hinge here, which is really not much of a problem. But the rest of this edge is very, very sharp and a feather edge, which is exactly what we wanted. And we reduced a lot of mass in this area here, so that was very helpful. We didn't lose much width, we lost no length. So there's always this trade-off. You want to try and win the trade-off. I'm not reducing it width-wise or length-wise, but I am reducing it thickness-wise. So let's see if we can get lucky some more. We didn't eliminate that step fracture with that last spall that came off, but we came pretty close. I think with this one, we're going to be able to follow this ridge down and probably remove a part of that step fracture, which solves part of our initial problem that we created for ourselves. We're below the center line, if you can imagine the center line striking this way, which is what we want to do. And then we're going to come back and follow this ridge that we've created with these last couple of strikes, hitting it this way, and see if we can't reduce this mass here. It's pretty thin here, so I'm going to have to probably set up a thicker edge and set up some platforms coming this way. Then I'll be able to strike here and reduce some nice piece there. That's the theory, that's the plan. So let's see if we can get another one off of here. We kind of lost part of our platform here to strike with. So let's see. Sounded pretty good. That's usually a good sign. Didn't go down to the step fracture. But a lot of nappers would say that's a gorgeous small projectile point right there. It's got a lot of thin feather edge on it. And you could certainly reduce that down with a pressure flaker like this issue stick. You can push off flakes with enough pressure and make that into a really nice little arrowhead. It's already sharper than a razor right now. Surgical instrument, really. But it's probably not a good usable tool because it is so thin. I mean, perhaps they could use that for skinning, for slicing game. Native Americans tried to use everything. Very economical with their materials, which is something to admire, I think. Save that. So we've got a ridge here to follow. I think we want to see if we can just take some of that off there. See if it'll follow that ridge. Nope. The whole peninsula there was just too thin. I just didn't want to go. Well, let's go in here, right in this spot here, and see if we can follow some of that ridge off of there. There we go. You can tell by the sound, can't you? There's the strike. Look how far this thing went down. Removed some of this cortex, but it terminated so sharp, feather edge,